Welcome to You Make the Difference. I'm Wanda Walker, and today I am interviewing Deanna Potts. Deanna has been my friend for about 2.5 years, and she wanted to come and share her testimony, and it's an awesome testimony. I know you're going to be blessed and encouraged by what the Lord can do in someone's life. Welcome to the show, Deanna.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, let's start with your growing up years. Tell me how it was in your home.
My childhood was good. I was constantly playing sports, singing in all-state choir, traveling. I had a good family. My parents got divorced when I was about 9 years old. So then I had an extended family, and that was always good. You know, I love all my brothers and sisters.
Okay, and you were telling me your daddy was involved in ministry. Tell me about that.
In year 2000, we left LaGrange and moved to Stockbridge, Georgia, and found a home church, Community Bible, and he led the Blood and Fire ministry, and they helped the homeless in Atlanta, Georgia.
And that's a powerful ministry, right?
Yes.
Yes, and you got a job working at McDonald's. Mm-hmm. And tell me how that went. I know you got promoted pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Tell me about that experience.
Well, I was still in high school, and I was team leader, and as soon as I graduated, they gave me a uniform and made me manager. So.
Okay, but then something happened at McDonald's.
Yes, they transferred, they shut one of the stores down and transferred a couple managers to another store, and I was one of those managers, and the store ended up getting robbed, and it was my keys that was used, so I immediately got blamed for it.
Okay, and what happened? What happened during that research to find out if you were guilty of that or not guilty of that? What happened?
I was initially found not guilty, but during the time they were searching, they came into my home, and you know, I was a teenager. I smoked weed a little bit, and they found some drugs and told me that that they blamed me and said that I did it. You know, so ultimately I felt like all this shame and guilt, even though it was something I didn't do. Like
yes.
I just felt I felt so shameful about them coming into my home and finding this. You know, because
you were eventually cleared.
Yes.
Yes, and then you made a decision to come back to LaGrange.
Yes.
Your brother was sick, and tell me about that.
I moved back to LaGrange, and my brother, Shannon, had lupus, and he was 27 years old, and he died in 2006, and it was a really slow process, so like, it was traumatizing for me. My brother was my hero, mm-hmm. So for him to go for like being like the strongest guy in the world to someone like laying in the hospital bed dying, it was a traumatizing experience for me.
And so were you using drugs during that time?
Yes.
And so what did that do?
I just lost myself in it. It was, you know, at first everything was a party.
Yes.
But then it became a complete lifestyle.
Yes. And your brother, when he was dying, he was telling you about life. Tell me about that.
He was telling me about life and how important family was, and not to take every day for granted because you're not promised tomorrow, and I just didn't grasp that because I still was in denial that he was dying.
Yes. And so you went to rehab. Tell me about rehab.
I went to rehab after I had a child in 2010, and she was born prematurely, and I named her Shannon after my brother.
Yes.
She lived for 2 months, and she died of SIDS, just sudden infant death syndrome. And so after she passed away, I needed help, you know, and I admitted that. So I went into a rehab and found I was pregnant again with my son AJ, and I got my life back together, moved back to Atlanta with my dad, and I relapsed again.
Okay.
I came back to LaGrange. My dad, you know, would keep my kids for me, and he was like my rock, you know. But he would keep my kids for me because he didn't want me around them while I was in my addiction. And I just got lost again, and I started getting in trouble. I started doing things that I'm not proud of, stealing, things that I was not raised, like, to do things like that,
Right.
I lost all my morals and my values and my self-respect. I didn't know who I was anymore. So one day I just cried out to God. I mean, I remember screaming, like on my knees, just screaming, if you're here and you can help me, help me. And it wasn't like 2 days later I was locked up. I was like, I know this is you. I mean, His divine intervention. However, it was Him. So I'm like, I'm gonna dig in and find myself now.
Okay, and during the time you were locked up, you went to prison.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes.
And while you were at prison, then your dad got sick.
Yes.
Now tell me about that.
He had a rare form of cancer, and it was in his stomach. And by the time that they found it, it was so bad that they couldn't treat it because it would have killed him faster. So I just kept my head in all the spiritual teachings. Like, my faith was so strong. Like, I really believed that God was going to heal him every time he would come to visit. I would lay hands on him. I mean, like, you couldn't tell me that God wasn't going to heal my dad. I just really believed that he was going to get his healing through my faith. And he passed away while I was still in the RSAT program. And that kind of shook my faith, because not that I don't believe, is because I felt like I did something wrong. So.
And then you learned what?
I learned that God has a plan, and His ways aren't our ways, and that just to trust in Him.
Yes.
I mean, my dad's in a far better place than I am right now.
Yes, and whether God moves, it's not about our behavior.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and so it wasn't that you did something wrong.
Yes.
It's just maybe it was His time to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you had some favor in prison during the time that your daddy was sick. Tell me about that.
Yes. On the weekend, they gave me a compassionate visit, which they never ever do. The warden approved a compassionate visit for 3 hours, and in those 3 hours he waited on me to get there, and I was able to be by his side when he took his last breath.
Yes.
And then I was able to go to the funeral, and that was one of his requests for me to sing, and so I did.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So God was so faithful to you and faithful to your dad and your family by arranging a weekend compassionate visit that you were allowed to have. And weekend compassionate visits are very, very rare.
Yes.
And the timing of you being there when your daddy died.
Yes.
I mean, the exact timing, God arranged that for you and your dad.
I know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
And then to arrange again for you to come to the funeral. I would think that's
favor. Yes.
That's a lot of favor,
Yes,
isn't it?
it is.
Yes. Okay, so when did you find Jesus in your life? And also, I know you found Him early, but then tell me about that, but also tell me about when you really came into a realization of His love for you.
Well, when I was younger, I always loved church. I think I got saved when I was probably about 9 or 10 years old, and then, like I said, my dad ran that blood and fire ministry, and I was always involved in youth and stuff like that, but I kind of got lost in the world. But it didn't become personal until I found out for myself, not what everybody else told me, but when I read the Bible and I got knowledge and gained wisdom from what He was telling me. It was probably about in 2013, and that's when I found Him.
Yes, and tell me what a difference that's made in your life.
Oh, a big difference. Like, I know the truth now about who I am and who I thought I was. Big difference, And
you have a lot of joy.
Yes.
Yeah. And tell me about your life now. Tell me where you work. Tell me what your goals are.
Okay.
What you're trying to accomplish in your life. Tell me about those.
Okay. I work for a company called MS Companies. My boss, her name's Amanda. She's great. Like, God has just really placed like some amazing people in my life. He's restored all my relationships. Me and my mother are very close. My siblings were all very close. I have my children back with me. I love my job. I'm in a program right now called Drug Court in Troup County.
Yes.
And that is doing a lot for me too. It's helping me. I'm able to, I have like a strong bond with everybody that's in my group, and that helps a lot. I have self-respect and a lot, that I want in my life. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm so far from where I was, But like right now I'm trying to get my license back and get a car and stuff like that. But like I have a lot of goals.
Yes.
I just,
I know from knowing you at the Troup County Jail that you ministered to the women down there.
Yes.
And I know that you probably continued that ministry in prison.
I did.
Tell me about some of the women that you ministered to and the effect that it had on their lives.
There's several women down there I encouraged and I fasted with and I would pray with, and like people are constantly sending me messages that they're coming home after I did, and they're telling me how big of an impact that I made, how positive and like strong in my faith that I was, and it just continued. Like they carried that with them even after I left. They stayed strong. Like they felt defeated, and I was like, no, this is the least that you've been through in your life. This is good. Like you're sheltered now, from your addiction, and this is a way out. The choice is yours. Like life and death.
Yes.
Which way you want to go when you leave here.
Yes.
It's like a brand new opportunity, and God's given it to you. So.
Yes, and you were telling me about praying one time about the weather.
Yes. Okay. So one of my best friends, she's actually going to be my sister-in-law.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah.
Her and my brother are engaged.
Yes.
But we were in the RSAT program together, and my dad was coming to visit and bringing my kids, and it was the first visit, and her mom was bringing her kids, and it was their first visit. And it was like a 90% chance of rain and thunderstorm. And we held hands and we prayed for God to shift the winds and change the direction of the storm. And He did.
Yes.
So we were able to have our visits together. And the next day, like the teachers there were like, I can't believe it didn't rain yesterday. And we were like, you know what I'm saying? Because we did,
Yeah. And Jesus spoke to the storm and said, peace be still, and it was there, and He encouraged Peter and them to do that too. And so we're doing it today, aren't we? Yeah. And tell me about a treasure of hope.
A treasure of hope is like a ministry, which really is something I'm kind of doing now, but to me, a treasure of hope means like, hope is just something that you always have no matter where you're at in your life.
Yes.
And a treasure is something you hold dear to you, and it's just like a ministry that I wanted to start where we, just to help people who are lost, who feel like there's no hope and there's nothing more in life, and that I can just give them encouragement and like help them to believe that there is a way.
Yes. That is great. All right, so let me ask you, what advice would you give to people who have been in similar circumstances that you have been in to give them that hope? What advice do you have?
To find God, ultimately, because that's the way out. Like to hold on and stay strong and have faith. And I found the way out. Like I remember I didn't think there was a way out. I always felt like I was going to be in that hole all of my life, and that I was going to die there. And Jesus said that I am the truth, the way, and the life, and He showed me the way, and I followed Him. I'm not perfect, but I'm so far from where I was,
When did you first begin to get that hope of coming out of that hole?
Probably when I got my head clear. When I came off the drugs.
Okay. And were there people in your path tell me about some of the people in your path that spoke life to you?
Well, you are one of them.
Thank you.
You and Sarah. Helen and Harry Leverett are a big influence. There's a lot of good people down there at the jail, the jailers, that are encouraging too. But like Life and Light, y'all brought that to the jail through your ministry, you and Helen and Harry, and it's something I wanted, so I hung on to it.
So in the Troup County Jail is where you first began to come out of that hole?
Yes.
Oh, great. Yay, that's wonderful. Okay, now I know that you write songs and sing songs. Now, I've heard you sing songs. I just saw on Facebook where you were writing songs, and it seemed that I knew that a little bit. But tell me some of the songs that you have written.
I wrote a song in the RSAT program that I sang for graduation. It's called I Am. And people are always requesting me to sing that.
Okay. You want to sing a little bit of it for us? Okay.
Okay. It says, I used to be broken. I used to be so numb. I used to be so low. Always on the run. Just when I'd come up, life knocked me back down. I know that I was lost and wanted to be found. So now here I am. Now here I stand. Just look at me, free.
Oh, that's wonderful. It is wonderful. Yes, and you know what? Your life is so encouraging because, you know, when we're at our lowest, there's still hope for us. And we can still rise up above anything. And I love what you said about hope, that we always have hope. And that hope is Christ in us. And when we, like you knew him from a young girl and maybe had not come into the fullness of that, but I believe that hope was planted in you when you were a little girl.
Yes.
Okay, there's a song that you sing that tells people about where you come from, what your heart is now today, and we want you to sing that for us today.
Okay. All right, this song's called Heart of Worship, and this song is always in my heart. I love it. Okay. When the music fades and all is stripped away, and I simply come, longing just to bring something that's of worth that will bless your heart. And I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have required. You search much deeper within, through the way things appear. You're looking into my heart, yeah. And I'm coming back to the heart of worship. And it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the things I've made it. When it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus.
Yes. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about some of the people that you have gone to prison with and have gone to jail with. It seems like to me there's a move of the Spirit in Troup County to minister to people who are coming out of jail and prison, and they are
living testimonies.
Of
what God can do in your life. Yes.
Yes. So tell me about the friends. I know you have several friends that have all been in jail or prison together, and they've stuck together, and they're living a victorious life now.
Guys and girls. Katie Gross is one of my good friends, and she is doing amazing. Completely turned her life around, and she lives for the Lord. Teddy Fitzgerald. There's so many people. Jerry Hammett, Melanie Rare.
Yes.
Let's see who else. There's so many. Justin Williamson.
Yes.
The drug court program really does help a lot of people.
Michael.
Yes. Michael Moe is doing so great. And he's not even in drug court program, but he's doing so good.
Yes. And are y'all attending church together, or?
And Celebrate Recovery.
And Celebrate Recovery.
But our schedules are different. Like now, some of us work night shift and day shift, so it's kind of hard for us to get together. But at first, when I first came home, that's what we were all doing together, was going to Reformers Unanimous at Oakside Baptist Church,
Yes.
and that is a great program.
Yes.
I love it out there.
Yes, tell me about that program in case there are others who need to enroll in that program.
It's just Reformers Unanimous.
Jimmy Pruitt.
It's family oriented, so you can bring your kids, and it's a safe environment. And at first we're all together, and it's talk, you know.
Yes.
And then we break off into our small groups, and you work like a study book, and like you get rewards and stuff like that. So it's kind of it's called challenges.
Yes.
So it's like everybody tries to beat each other. It's fun.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and like they're always doing stuff with the kids, and then afterwards we have fellowship and we eat, and that's awesome too.
Okay, and tell me about Celebrate Recovery.
Celebrate Recovery. There's one in West Point, and there's one right here at Faith Baptist Church, and it's on Thursday nights. It's a good program too. You have like the praise and worship to begin with, and like normally testimony, and they always have a lot of good testimonies. And then we break off into our small groups again.
Yes, and you mentioned drug court. How long have you been in drug court?
Since the end of August.
Yes, and tell me about what all is involved in drug court.
Well, you have phase movements. Like I'm about to move to phase 2, but it's kind of like your progress. You have drug testing several times a week. They require you to have a job. You have individual counseling sessions, and the program is amazing. Like they really want to help people and
Yes.
see people just do something in their life and be a part of society and not be labeled as addicts, and like that's all we'll ever be. And they really don't want to see anybody go back to prison, so they're constantly trying to be understanding and give people chances, and to make mistakes. There's leeway to make mistakes, because nobody's perfect, and we're so used to living that lifestyle, and they understand that.
Yes.
So they don't throw us back in jail. If you get a sanction, like you go for 24 or 48 hours, but you come back, it's like they open their arms. They're like, okay, let us help you. And Kelly Veal and Leanne Murphy are amazing people, and all the counselors at Pathways are awesome.
Yes, and also Judge Little.
Judge Little, yeah, she's good. But it's Judge Palmer actually over us now.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. She's
Yeah.
with the felony drug
Yes.
court now. Yes, yes, and they have a great. They have a great rate of success too. So I know that's very encouraging for the people who are going through to know that program works.
It's a big support group. It's like all of us are like trying to do the same thing in our life. Trying to get clean and live sober and work and take care of our kids and be responsible and not go back to prison and just be somebody in life. So it's like we're always calling each other, and it's like a family.
Yes.
It's good.
Yes. And I just want to say you look wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So do you.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I can see the work of the Lord in your life. And it's such an encouragement. It really is.
Thank you.
I haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah.
And so
Since November.
since November, yeah, and it's amazing to see the difference in your life.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're a blessing.
Thank you.
Let's sing a little bit more.
Okay.
All right.
What
You
are we
got
gonna
another
sing?
song?
Let's see. Amazing Grace.
That's good.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
I remember lots of times where we would be in church service at the jail, and you would sing, and it would just change the atmosphere in the jail. And the Lord has just used you wherever you are, and He is going to continue to do that. And I just want to thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome.
You are just as much a blessing to me as I am to you. I love you.
Well, I love you. And I would just like to thank you for watching You Make the Difference. And I would like to encourage you, if you have a testimony that you want to give, that you get in touch with us here at WJCN, because we're looking for people with powerful testimonies who will encourage others in the community who need to hear them. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Got a promise from heaven. It's a year of replevin. Got a promise from heaven. It's all coming